Hi everyone, welcome. Today we are starting our very first topic in CIE iGCSE biology, topic 1.1, and it is called characteristic of living organism. Now before we go to any big science topics like cells, genetics or ecology, we need to answer one very simple question: what makes something alive? And that is exactly what this topic is about. So let's begin. Stay with me. This one is simple, easy, and very important for your exam. Okay, so look at this screen. All living organism, whether it's a human, a tree, a bacterium, or a fish, they all share seven key characteristics. And how do we remember all seven? We use a really nice trick, a mnemonic, and it is called MRS GREN. MRS GREN. Each letter stands for one characteristic. M is for movement, R is for respiration, S is for sensitivity, G is for growth, R is for reproduction, E is for excretion, N is for nutrition. Now here is a very important exam point, and please write this down. An organism must show all seven characteristics to be called a living thing. For example, a virus. Students always ask, is a virus alive? The answer is no, because a virus cannot independently do respiration, excretion, or growth. It needs a host cell to do these things. So, by our definition, a virus is not alive. Remember this, it come up in the exam very often. Let's start with the first one, M for moment. The definition is simple. Movement is an action by an organism or a part of it that results in a change of position or place. Now, when most students think of movement, they think of a person walking or a bird flying. And yes, that is movement. But in biology, movement is much more than that. Let me explain with examples. In animals, fish use their fins and tail to swim. Birds use wings to fly. Humans use muscles and joints to walk and run. This whole body movement is called locomotion. But what about plants? Plants do not walk or fly, but they do move. A shoot grows toward the light. That is called phototropism. Roots grow downward. That is geotropism. And some plants, like the Mimosa pudica, actually fold their leaves when you touch them. That is anastic movement. Now here is a very common mistake students make. They think movement and locomotion are the same thing. They are not. All locomotion is movement, but not all movement is locomotion. A heartbeat is a movement. A muscle contract inside your body. That is movement. You cannot see it from outside, but it is happening. These are called internal movements. So remember, movement in biology is very broad. Now, R for respiration. And I need you to listen carefully here, because this is one of the most commonly confused topic in iGCSE biology. The definition is: respiration is the chemical reaction in cell that breaks down nutrients molecules, mainly glucose, to release energy for the body. The word equation look like this: glucose plus oxygen combine to make carbon dioxide plus water plus energy in the form of ATP. So where does this happen? Inside every single living cell in tiny organelles called mitochondria. That is why mitochondria are called the powerhouse of the cell, because they produce energy. Now, why do we need this energy? We use energy for movement, for cell division, for keeping our body temperature stable, for active transport, and for sending neurosignal in the brain. But here is the big mistake I see every year. Students confuse respiration with breathing. They are not the same thing. Breathing is a physical action. You breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Your chest move up and down. That is breathing. Respiration is a chemical reaction. It happens inside the cell using that oxygen to release energy from glucose. Breathing support respiration. It bring in the oxygen needed, but respiration itself is a chemical process at the cellular level. In your exam, if they ask where does respiration occur, the answer is in every living cell inside the mitochondria. Now let's talk about S power sensitivity. This one is also called responsiveness. The definition is sensitivity is the ability of an organism to detect and respond to changes in the internal or external environment. So basically an organism must be able to sense what is happening around it and then react to it. Why? To survive. A rabbit hear a predator coming, it runs, that is sensitivity. Humans start sweating when we are too hot, that is our body responding to a change in temperature. A plant grows toward light, that is sensitivity too. Now, what causes a response? Something called a stimulus. A stimulus is any change in the environment that trigger a reaction. Example include sound, light, temperature, chemicals, and even change inside the body like a drop in blood sugar. Human detects stimuli using five sense organs. Eye detect light using photoreceptor. Ear detects sound using mechanoreceptor. Nose detects smell using chemoreceptor. Tongue detects taste using chemoreceptor. Skin detects touch, pain, and temperature. Plants also show sensitivity even though they have no brain or sense organ. Shoots grow toward light, phototropism. Root grow downward, this is eutropism. The mimosa pudica plant fold its leaves when touched. So sensitivity is what keeps every organism connected to its environment. It helps them stay safe, find food, and maintain balance. Next, G for growth. The definition is growth is a permanent increase in size and dry mass of an organism caused by cell division and cell enlargement. The key word here is permanent. Growth is not temporary. It happens in three steps. First, cell division. New cells are made through a process called mitosis. Second, cell enlargement. The new cell grow bigger. The third, tissue formation. These cells come together to form organs and systems. Now, how do we measure growth in biology? We use dry mass, not wet mass, not height alone, not just weight. Dry mass is the most accurate measure because it removes water content, which change every day. And here is something important for your exam. Not everything that gets bigger is growing. A balloon gets bigger when you blow it, but that is not growth because a balloon is not alive and the change is not permanent. A person's muscles fell slightly after exercise due to blood flow. That is not growth. A plant that felt this is actually a decrease in size but not growth. Real growth is permanent, involve living cells and increased dry mass. Now R for reproduction, and this is the second R in MRS GREN. The definition of reproduction is the process that makes more organisms of same kind. Why is this important? It ensures that a species do not become extinct. Without reproduction, life would stop. But here is a very important point. Reproduction is essential for the survival of a species, but not for the survival of an individual. A cat that never reproduces will still live, but if all cats stopped reproducing, the species would disappear. Now, there are two types of reproduction: Asexual reproduction, only one parent is needed. The offspring are genetically identical to the parent. They are called clones. This is fast and efficient. Examples include bacteria splitting by binary fission, hydra produce a bud, and potato tuber growing into a new plant. Number 2, sexual reproduction requires two parents and involve gametes, that is sperm and egg in animal or pollen and ovum in plants. The offspring having genetic variation, they are not identical to either parent. This variation helps species adapt to changing environment. Examples include humans, animals, and flowering plants. So remember, asexual reproduction means one parent, sexual reproduction means two parents. Now, E for excretion. This one is very commonly misunderstood, and I see student lose mark on this every year. The definition, and please memorize this carefully. Excretion is the removal of the waste products of metabolism and substances in excess of requirement. The important phrase is waste product of metabolism. This means waste produced inside the body through chemical reaction. In human, which organ carry out excretion? Lungs remove carbon dioxide and some water through breathing out. Kidney remove urea, water and excess salt through urine. Skin removes water and salts through sweat. In plants, oxygen is released during photosynthesis through tiny holes called stomata. Carbon dioxide is released during respiration. Some waste chemicals are stored in leaves or bark that eventually falls up. Now the big exam trap. Excretion is not the same as egestion. Excretion means removing metabolic waste made inside the body. Egestion means removing undigested food, meaning feces. This food was never absorbed into the body, so it was never part of metabolism. If you write that feces is a product of excretion in your exam, you will lose marks. Feces is egestion, not excretion. And finally, N for nutrition, the last characteristic, the definition. Nutrition is the process of taking in material for energy, growth, and development. Without nutrition, there is no energy, no growth, no repair, and no survival. Now, different organisms get their nutrition in different way. In biology, we divide this into two types: autotrophic nutrition. The organism make its own food. Plants do this through photosynthesis. They take in carbon dioxide through their stomata, absorb water through their roots, and use sunlight and chlorophyll to make glucose. The equation is carbon dioxide plus water makes glucose and release oxygen in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Number 2, heterotrophic nutrition. The organism eats other organism for food. This includes human, animal and fungi. Human need carbohydrate for energy, protein for growth and repair, fats for energy storage, vitamins and minerals for health, and water for all the chemical reaction. So nutrition is the fuel that power all other life processes. Without food, there is no energy for movement, no material for growth, and no resource for reproduction. That is why nutrition is so important. Alright, let's do a quick recap. We covered all 7 characteristics of living organism and they all fit into the mnemonics MRS GREN. M for movement, change in position of whole body or a part. R for respiration, releasing energy from glucose in cells. S for sensitivity, detecting and responding to stimuli. G for growth, means permanent increase in size and dry mass. R for reproduction, means producing more organisms of the same kind. E for excretion, means removing metabolic waste products. N for nutrition, means taking in material for energy and growth. Every living organism, human, plant, bacterium, fungus, must show all 7 of these characteristics. If even one is missing independently, we do not call it a living organism. Before we finish, let me give you my top exam tips for this topic. Number 1, always use MRS GREN. Examiner love it when student use this mnemonic. It show you know all 7 characteristics. Number 2, excretion is not egestion. Excretion is metabolic waste like carbon dioxide and urea. Egestion is species undigested food. This come up every year. Number 3, respiration is not breathing. Respiration is a chemical reaction in cell. Breathing is a physical process. Do not mix them up. Number 4, growth is measured by dry mass. Never say weight or wet mass in the exam for growth. Number 5, viruses are not alive. They cannot independently respire, excrete or grow. A very common question and a very easy mark if you remember this. Alright, that is the end of topic 1.1, characteristic of living organism. Make sure you write down MRS GREN, learn the definitions and review the exam tips. In the next video, we will move to topic 1.2. For more easy biology lesson, please hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Thank you.